Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Mike. You already know what is up and what is good. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how these three teams destroyed their expectations. Now, first off, again, sorry for no uploads in the past few days. A little busy with things, but I'm back on the grind. Now, let's start with the New Orleans Pelicans post-Boogie injury. So after they lost Boogie, after he tragically tore his Achilles, everyone, including myself, thought their playoff chances were out of the window. Although they were just starting to figure things out and get things going. They lost their second twin tower, so to speak, in DeMarcus Cousins, going 26 and 21 just as he did. Many who had anticipated to happen were proven wrong as the opposite unfolded right in front of our eyes. Everyone had started to count them out, similar to how Boston did when they lost Gordon Hayward 6 minutes into opening night. They had lost a key part of their team and yet defied odds and proved everyone wrong. Compared to post-Boogie, prior to DeMarcus Cousins' injury, the Pelicans stood at 111 points per game, at 4th in the NBA, 106.9 defensive rating, ranked at 21st in the league, 2nd in the league in field goal percentage at 48.5%, and 9th in the NBA at 3-point percentage with 36.7%. They placed 16th in the NBA in rebounds with 43.1 rebounds, 26.3 assists, locked at 2nd place in the league, 7.6 steals at 17th, and finally 5.1 blocks, ranked 6th in the league. Now, post-Boogie injury, their scoring, defense, rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks all jumped up, with 112 points per game at 2nd in the NBA, 103.8 defensive rating, ranked 6th in the league, although their percentages fell just slightly to 48.1% from the field and 35.5% from the three. But rebounding jumped to 46 per game at 5th in the league, 27.4 assists, placing at 3rd in the NBA, 3rd in the NBA in steals with 8.6, and they led the NBA in blocks at 6.9 during that post-Boogie injury span, going 22 and 13, and then 26 and 21 prior. This really opened up AD's game and put him into a similar situation before. Score the ball, rebound while blocking shots. But this time around, with better teammates in Drew Holiday, Rajon Rondo, and Nikola Mirotic, they put the challenge upon themselves into finishing the season strong and put on an impressive campaign, coming in at 6th in the West, sweeping the hot but chilled Blazers and getting into the second round, getting just one game off the defending champs, the Golden State Warriors. Now let's transition to the Utah Jazz. Now the reason these next two teams are ahead of this one are not just because what they did and how far they exceeded, but how they did it, and more importantly, they were counted out from the gate. Now the Utah Jazz lost a lot of key guys prior to this season, to that 51-win season. They lost George Hill, Gordon Hayward, of course, and a few more. I think Trey Burke was one of them, and just some more key guys off the bench that really hit them hard, and everyone started to count them out from the start. And at the start of the season, they really just didn't have their defensive anchor in Rudy Gobert. They have young stars now. Gobert coming in, once he was inserted back into the lineups and the rotations, things started to naturally fall back into place. They were starting to win games. They had that huge winning streak that no one really talked about, which was really nice. I'm pretty sure they beat some nice powerhouse teams in the West during that winning streak. I'm pretty sure they beat the Warriors twice, if I'm not mistaken. So they had Donovan Mitchell. He was starting to heat up a little bit. Then you got Gobert coming back into the lineups, and that's when things started to really heat up for them, and that's how they really started to get their buzz around their city and their team. Their defense improved. I know, like, after All-Star break, their defense was like top notch. They were, I think, top 3 in the league. And this team has a really nice balance of inside and out game, just like the Spurs do and the Warriors. The Pacers have the same similar balance of inside game and outside game. And guys, the team is in the West, so they destroyed their expectations. I'm pretty sure they finished, I want to say 5th. I'm pretty sure they finished 5th in the standings, and they took out the OK3 team, Paul George, Melo, and Russell Westbrook. They beat them out in the first round in 6 games. Many who counted them out, who many thought actually would win that series in 7, or it would go either way in OKC's favor, but they really outplayed their expectations, guys. This Jazz team is really good. Their defense really improved, and I'm excited to see what they can do next season. And finally, let's get to the Indiana Pacers now. We all know the story of Victor Oladipo and the Paul George trade, how everyone thought the Pacers got robbed, and how Sam Presti fleeced Paul George from the Pacers, and they got pretty much everyone thought they just got the lesser of the deal and on the Pacers side of things. But really, guys, it was either an even trade or the Pacers won this trade, in my opinion. Oladipo coming off a most improved player. He was a monster. He had a monster transformation prior to this season and during that summer, so that really transformed his game and opened up things to how he can perform on the court. So that really opened up things for this team and really started to get them some noise as well. The culture and chemistry was unmatched, guys. The culture for this team and the chemistry just went unmatched. You could tell if you guys watched the games, if you guys watched the highlights at all, if you watched the Cavs-Pacers series, you could see how the culture and the chemistry on this team went unmatched throughout the league. It was like no other. They played together. That was their actual playoff slogan, together. They played together all season. There was no egos in the locker room. They all played for each other, with each other, and by each other. So there was no egos in the room. No one ever got in fights or arguments. And they were all with, for, and by each other. And then, guys, if you haven't seen the Corey Joseph moment, one of the key moments of this team and what really symbolized this team's chemistry and what they were throughout the season and as a team. If you don't know the Corey Joseph moment, look it up, please. Or if I find a clip, I will put it in here over this right now. This is the Corey Joseph moment. You have Corey Joseph. I'm pretty sure he stole the ball. He went up for a layup on a fast break. He was all by himself. He got the and-one layup, and he fell to the ground. And the entire team went over to help him up, picked him up. I remember Domantas Sabonis, he picked him up, and he picked him up into the air, literally. He picked him up off his feet, off the ground. Everybody came off the bench. Everybody on the court came running to him, and they came and just picked him up off the ground. And that's what really symbolized this team as a whole. They all played for each other together, and that's what really, some of these guys in the free agency and stuff, that's what really drew them in to come signing with this team. They saw how good this chemistry and the culture was, and they just wanted to be a part of it and see how they competed every night, day in and day out, game in and game out. So they saw how they competed, they wanted to win, and they saw how they competed against LeBron and the Cavs, nearly taking them out in 7 games. Now, when you guys play together like that, when you play together for each other, players are bought in. They buy into the system, they play defense. That's why this team is so scrappy on defense. How, yes, their defensive rating was only 12th in the league, but they have those little moments in the game where it can completely change the game. They have defensive stops, they have steals, they can just totally take over a game defensively, and then they can run out on you and get fast break points off turnovers, and that's how they can really turn the game over for you guys. So players were bought into the system, into the defense, into the team as a whole. And guys, that's one of the 3 T's of the team. I know that was 3 T's that Coach Nate McMillan talked about, and Kevin Pritchard also emphasized the 3 T's: toughness, trust, and togetherness. So that's really their motto of the team, is the 3 T's. That's what they stand for. There's no egos in the room at all. And guys, they were projected to only win 32 wins at the start of the season, and they exceeded that most in the season by 16 wins, going on 48 and 34, easily a 50-win team next year with the additions they picked up. Guys, they were counted out from the start, similar to the Utah Jazz. That's why these 2 teams are ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans. They were counted out kind of middle of the season when they lost Boogie, and then people started to count them out, thought their playoff chances were out the window. But the Pacers and the Jazz, they were kind of counted out from the start, right out from the gate. So that's what really reeled me into putting these 2 teams ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video talking about how these 3 teams destroyed their expectations, whether it be from the beginning of the season, midway through. There are some honorable mentions. Let's see, you got the Blazers, maybe even the Spurs for not having Kawhi most of the season and nearly winning 50 games. And I think that's really all I can think of. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been your boy Mike, and you can let that beat drop.